What's up, everybody? Been a little bit. Garrett Grumley here with Duty to Train, and I'm going to be doing something a little bit different with my channel, and that is I'm going to take on the news. I was doing pistol training videos, but frankly, that's not like my passion to do that all the time. My brother passed away. I wanted to do something in honor of his memory, and frankly, I think I made the best beginner pistol training program out there. I don't think a lot of people want to do it because it's dry fire. It's not the most fun thing to do, but it is the best way to become a good shooter. So if you want good pistol training, I made it. You just have to be willing to put in the work. So it's in my playlist. You can go check that out. But I'm going to start. I consume so much news. And I figured sometimes I'm just sitting there fuming about the insanity of what's going on in the world. And so I figured I would take what I listen to on a regular basis. And I really do pride myself on being open-minded. And I'm actually going to finish with a conversation I had with somebody on Twitter the other day about abortion. And they changed my mind because I couldn't argue out of it. And I was like, I don't care who it is or where I have the conversation. If I can't argue out of something, I'm totally open to changing my mind. But I'm also not like the most intelligent person on the face of the planet, but everything nowadays is just absolutely bonkers insane. And I feel like a lot of people want to know what's going on, but it's so hard to listen to so many things. And lots of times I listen to a video, and I've been listening to podcasts for so long, like 8-9 years when it comes to politics and stuff like that. And I know like from like thumbnails, whether or not it's good, whether or not it's like important, or it's just like a filler episode. You know what I mean? And all of these news agencies, even like all of the big YouTube channels, all the independent stuff, like they have to fill time. And I'm hoping that I don't become like that. If I can just be super small or whatever, I can just bring you like all these quick snippets of all of the best moments that I've seen throughout the week. So I think I'm just going to do this twice a week. And if I do it twice a week, I think I'll be able to bring you some really good content. And so that's what I'm going to do. So, yeah, I made a pistol training program. That was what I was going to do with this channel. But frankly, I think a lot of beginners just have a hard time putting in the effort. You know, everybody wants the easy fix. But if you go through my pistol training program, it's in my playlist under home defense program. Go to like video 1 final, because there's some other ones that are the audio's messed up. I have to delete those. But yeah, I mean, that is... I go to the range, 90% of people don't know how to shoot a pistol properly, and everybody has like this big ego when it comes to pistol shooting. So, you know, if you don't want to do the course, then, you know, whatever. But yeah, I thought I'd just jump right into it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, so I'm going to basically cover like 10 different stories. Okay, I want to make sure. All right, I'm like using this new video formatting thing to do this, so I want to make sure I'm like doing everything correctly. But I'm basically going to cover roughly 10 stories, and I'm going to slice this up into like 10 different videos eventually, and then also just do the entire video as well. So if you want to watch the entire bit, you can do that. Or if you want to hear like about this one little bit, I'll just do like 3-minute segments, 2 to 3 minute segments on each of these stories, and it'll turn out to be like a 20 or 30-minute video. But I'm going to splice that out and do a bunch of like smaller YouTube videos from that. And so it's going to give me the ability to push out a lot of content quickly. And I think that'll be good for YouTube, and I think that'll be good for my channel. And honestly, the reason that I'm doing this is because like this isn't slowing down, right? Like I also think it's going to be a good way for me to like kind of push Duty to Train a little bit more. And I think a lot of people are nervous about the way the world's going. And I just want people to be informed. And I don't know a channel that just takes all the best news places. Like you can listen, you know, there's like the Drudge Report, and like I don't listen to them because I don't really like the lean. I actually don't like the lean at all. But they still only just give you like all the links and stuff, but they don't like kind of summarize the whole thing, you know? And so what I'm trying to do is like cancel out all the noise, give you what actually matters. And from there, you know, you could just like take in like a week's worth of news in like 20 minutes rather than like trying to delve through all the crap yourself. So I don't know anybody else that does this. And people, frankly, nowadays do have pretty short attention spans. So I feel like if I can do this well, then cool. And if not, honestly, it's going to be a good way for me to vent, because sometimes I feel like I'm going insane because this world is just stupid. So anyway, let's hop right into it. I'm going to start off today with mainstream media, CNN, cutting off RFK when he goes after Kamala because she's not taking any interview. She's not like talking to the press. And so he starts talking about this. And if you haven't watched RFK's dropout speech and when he endorses Donald Trump, it is the best political speech I've ever heard in my lifetime. I'm not just saying that because he endorsed Donald Trump, who I am a supporter of. I'll just be like totally upfront about my political views here. But he can speak in a way that like no other politician speak in. And he has like this raspy voice, but screw that. I don't care how you talk. It's the points that matter. And so he's making some great points, and CNN just cuts away. It's like this guy is saying so many things that are so relevant to today, and they just cut away because they don't want their viewers seeing it. So let's take a look at this, and we'll go from there.
My uncle and my father both relished debate. They prided themselves on their capacity to go toe-to-toe with any opponent in the battle over ideas. They would be astonished to learn of a Democratic Party presidential nominee who, like Vice President Harris, has not appeared in a single interview or an unscripted encounter with voters for 35 days.
We've been listening to independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. from Phoenix outlining what led him.
That's what I'm talking about. This is insanity. This is insanity. What are you talking about? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, the mainstream media, the Democrats have been talking about this guy. The Republicans have been talking about this guy. He's talking about his dropout speech. He's just getting into his stuff. And then they just cut away. And I saw this thing from the Daily Beast, garbage network, but they were like, they were just monitoring it. It's like, oh, okay, you want to monitor it, and then you'll let us know if it's relevant or not. Like, who is brain dead enough these days to watch CNN and think that they're getting an unbiased news source? It's just like, it's astonishing to me that there's still people out there. Apparently there still are. But, these mainstream media outlets, they just hate us Americans. There's just no other way to put it. They hate us. They hate how we vote. They hate how we think. And they're like, no, peons, we're going to tell you what you can do. And it's just infuriating that more people don't. It's infuriating that they still even have like a business model. You know what I mean? And so RFK, or that's actually my next point. So, yeah, I just have some notes here. I just want to make sure I hit, but they just don't want you to hear anything bad about their candidate. It's so clear, and they just don't trust you as a voter to make up your own mind. They're going to feed you this stuff, and if something happens that they don't want you to know about, they're not going to tell you about it. And so that's why, frankly, a channel like this I think is so important, because you deserve to know everything and anything that you want to know, and it's not up to CNN to cut stuff off. It was clearly a good political speech. It was obviously an important one, and they cut it off because it didn't fit their narrative. If you watch CNN, you're brain dead. All right, moving on. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is Dave Smith. And if you haven't heard of him, he's a comedian by trade, but he started listening to politics, I think, back in like 06 or 08. And ever since then, he was really into Ron Paul, small government, and I've really liked him lately. And he's not going to vote for Trump. He's not going to vote for Harris. He's really hardcore libertarian, but he's also like a realist about certain things. So anyway, I really like his take on things. And he had this video that he did a couple days ago. So I want to just take a listen to this and show you guys what he said, because I think he made a great point. And it's just about how, there seems to be like this kind of like seismic shift of Democrats coming over to the Republican Party right now, and why that's so important. So let's hear what he has to say.
I am proud to stand here before you today, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. If you love our country, as I do, if you cherish peace and freedom as we do, I invite you to join me in doing all that we can to save our country and elect President Donald J. Trump and send him back to the White House to do the tough work of saving our country and serving the people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
All right. So there you have it. Former Democrat, former presidential candidate, Tulsi Gabbard endorses Donald Trump. I will say, as I've been saying for a while, endorsements should always, in terms of the weight that they hold, they should be taken with a grain of salt. Endorsements don't seem to do a whole lot. Even from very popular political figures, it doesn't guarantee a transfer of support or anything like that. I will say that what Donald Trump's doing now, when you have people like Elon Musk, like RFK, like Tulsi Gabbard, it's more than just any one endorsement. There's an entire narrative that's being built here, which is very detrimental to the narrative that the corporate media and the political class would like you to have, which is that Donald Trump is such a radical threat to democracy that everyone's got. If we could all agree on one thing, we could agree on the fact that this guy can't get in. This really undermines that, where you have a lot of people who clearly disagree with Donald Trump on a lot of different issues, essentially making the opposite argument that actually our republic is in serious jeopardy if Kamala Harris is able to win. Like, I don't know exactly what.
Okay. I mean, this is like why I want to do this, because that is such a cogent argument to the issue that the Democrats are facing right now that I just can't say it any better myself, because this guy is, it's why I love listening to him. It's why I love him, the fact that he's blowing up, and he's got like 207,000 subscribers on YouTube right now. But I mean, he's going to get so much bigger because he's just making waves. The, Democrats like RFK, like he said, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk. And I heard something the other day that like a bunch of McCain and George Bush staffers and Romney staffers, from all their presidential either attempts or presidencies, endorse Kamala. So like the reverse is also happening. But the people who are Republicans who are now supporting Kamala Harris, we don't want them anyway, right? But it seems like the media is really, really, really mad, and they will do anything and everything to make sure that you don't know that these people are supporting them and why they're supporting them. They don't want you to know why. Because if you knew why, you'd probably think twice about maybe supporting Kamala Harris too, right? I am more than happy for, Liz Cheney to get on and tell me why she's supporting Kamala Harris. No one's trying to silence her. No one's trying to, like by all means, tell us why you're supporting, a warmongering Neanderthal who's never gotten a single vote and just got dropped into the presidency. Please let us know why you're doing that. There's a whole establishment, a powerful one, going against the fact that like Democrats are, and some pretty powerful ones, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, RFK, are like, whoa, and saying exactly what, Dave Smith just said. So, very interesting point, and I just thought that we definitely need to know that. So, all right, moving on. So the next thing is Mark Zuckerberg wrote a letter to Jim Jordan, who's head of, I forget what he's head of. Is he head of the Senate or the House rather? I think he's like House Judiciary something. Honorable Jim Jordan, Chairman, Committee on the Judiciary. Yeah, okay, so House of Representatives. Okay, so wrote a letter to him admitting that, I'll just read it. In 2021, senior officials from the Biden, this is a letter from Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook Meta, right, to Jim Jordan, who's, if you don't know who he is, he like goes viral a lot. I think he was a lawyer by trade, but he's really good at asking questions. He's a Republican and really good at kind of like nailing people down and kind of making them look bad because he's good at debating. And so he's had a lot of viral moments. So, but he's very well known. And so, Mark Zuckerberg wrote him a letter admitting that the Biden administration tried to interfere and tell them that they couldn't or should not do certain things. And what he said was, in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down. And we own our decisions, including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement in the wake of the pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we couldn't or we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. Okay, so he's getting flack from all sorts of sides, right? The main takeaway from this is that everybody at the time was saying that this was false, that they weren't doing this, that Meta was doing this on their own, And, there was no pressure coming from the Biden administration. This is the type of thing where they like wormhole you. Like, I could try and go back and spend hours trying to find the videos. I'm like a single person with like 2,500 subscribers on YouTube. So I don't have the time to do that. I have 2 kids sleeping upstairs. I have a wife. But just remember, keyhole, right? Just remember in your brain when they told you that this was all, like, how many conspiracies have now come true? Like, I can't even count. It's like there's so many have come true. And the Biden administration in 2021 was telling Facebook, you need to censor this stuff, or they were highly suggesting it, right? When the most powerful government in the world, like, look at what they've done to Trump, right? He doesn't do what they want, and then they try to put him in jail over, like, come on. It's literally trumped up, like, no pun intended, like trumped up charges, like over, what was it? No, it wasn't Stormy Daniels. Was it Stormy Daniels? Yeah, Stormy Daniels with a hush money payment. And they were saying that it was, I don't even remember. If it was that serious, don't you think you'd remember? Like, this is kind of why I have to do these videos, because it's so good for me to just vent this out a little bit. But we're going to break 250 years of tradition of not going after an opponent for, like, paying off some porn star for 150 grand and then labeling it the wrong way on his taxes. Are you kidding me? Moronic. And these same people are telling us, and so my point of saying that is that, Mark Zuckerberg saying, like, oh, they only suggested it. Like, look at all Donald Trump is wanting to do is run for president. That's all he wants to do. And they're, like, jailing him. Somebody shot at him. Who knows? I don't know who that could be. Like, come on, give me a break. These people will come after you if you don't do what they want. And Facebook has a lot to lose. Like, I don't know what the whole company net worth is, but it's got to be 500, 300 billion, something like that. It's crazy amounts of money. Probably more than that. It might even be in the trillion now. I don't know. And so this whole idea that, like, obviously Mark Zuckerberg isn't probably going to throw a bunch of people under the bus, because then he's really got a target under his back. And from what I've heard, a lot of people are saying, like, he thinks that maybe Trump might get in, or he's kind of just hedging his bets because he doesn't want, like, Trump to come after him if he does come back in. And, like, he's kind of like hedging his bets with this letter. It doesn't matter. The whole point of this letter is that the government was telling companies to censor the speech of Americans. That is unconstitutional. You can't do that. And anyone's like, well, they were just suggesting it. Like, you're just brain dead. You're just an idiot. An idiot. Let's see if my notes say anything else. Because once I get going, it's hard to remember. Nope, that was it. It's the First Amendment. And anyone who thinks that this is not the government telling Mark Zuckerberg what to do is an idiot, And then look at what Elon Musk, like, come on. The dude is, how hard have they gone after him? Like, I think it was like, he started coming out and supporting of Trump. And then there were, like, a bunch of investigations into, like, SpaceX and Tesla. It's like, oh, wow, he's been around for 15 years. And then all of a sudden he supports Trump and there's, like, 2 investigations. Give me a break. Brain dead people. All right, moving on. So my next story is, it's actually just a personal one. And that is that you need to start bringing your gun everywhere you go. And I made this big mistake recently at the worst opportune time. My family went to a place in Jersey where we've been going to forever. It's called Long Beach Island. And while we were there, Donald Trump got shot. And when we were leaving that day, I remembered, like, as we were driving out the driveway, I was like, oh, I didn't pack my gun. And I bring my gun everywhere. I fly with it. I bring it everywhere. And I forgot it, like, for the first time in years. I'm not kidding. And I was like, whatever. I just didn't want to, like, go back. The kids were all packed. We were good to go. 2 days later, Trump gets shot. And I'm sitting in Jersey on an island without a gun. And it's like, if he had gotten shot, like, honestly, this isn't conspiratorial. Like, this is craziness, what we're going through right now. And this is why, like, I I want people to understand that like we are in really bad times, and maybe we get out of this. I don't see how we do. I do not see how we get out of this without something really bad happening. Like it's just going to build and build and build, and all of a sudden it's just going to be like, psst. Like no, it's going to build and build and build, and then it's going to be a big pop. It's not going to be like a slow release of the pressure. I just don't understand how anyone thinks that that's even possible with how insane everything's gotten. Like you can talk about anything that's happening today, and if you had told someone that 5 years ago, they'd been like, wait, what? No way. That's a conspiracy. That's a conspiracy. That couldn't happen. If I had told you that Trump, if I told you 2 years ago that somebody was going to be able to scout around for like days and then get on a rooftop 150 yards away for minutes at a time, and people were going to be taking videos, screaming at police, telling them that the shooter was up there, and that person was going to be able to take a shot at Donald Trump, would you be like, dude, come on? I mean, they couldn't make it that obvious. It would have to be like something crazier. Nope, that happened. So with the world going as crazy as it is, if you own a gun, you need to bring it wherever you go, because you do not want to be alone somewhere. And especially if you have a family, it is my responsibility to protect my family. And if you don't have a gun, you need to get a gun. And you need some training. So look at my playlist, because it's the best way to become a good pistol shooter. But once you get that gun, you need to bring it with you everywhere you go. There's so many like great safes that you can bring on a plane. It's very easy to fly with a gun. It's a little bit inconvenient. You have to get there like 30 minutes earlier. It's really not that big of a deal. And maybe I could make a video on that someday, but you can easily look it up online. There's tons of videos about it. And yeah, the one time I forgot a gun, literally the one time, the only time I really have done it before and I haven't brought a gun is when like I'm going to see my family, and like my family has a ton of guns. So it's like, I don't need my one Glock 19 if like everybody in my family has a bunch of guns. Like, so I don't bring a gun there because I'm not going to have it on the plane with me anyway. So I don't really need it. But yeah, I went to Jersey. Nobody there had a gun, and Donald Trump gets shot, and literally like, probably the second or third thing that came to my mind, I was like, I'm sitting in Jersey and I don't have a gun. Like, poop. Except I didn't say poop. I'm going to try to keep it clean just because I think like YouTube doesn't like me swearing. I was not happy. So bring your gun with you, okay? Because you don't want to end up in a situation like I was, where I had a wife and 2 children and I didn't have a gun and Trump just got shot. I mean, if his head was like that instead of like that, it could have gotten really bad, and I'd be sitting in Jersey with no way to protect myself. Got lucky. Thank you, Jesus. Okay. So next story is... oh, next story is so great. Okay, so this is why I love Dave Smith. This is where, if you haven't started watching Dave Smith, or if you don't really know about him, this is why I really like listening to him, is because like even my video right now, it's like can get like kind of intense because I'm a very emotional person. He's like pretty mellow. And he's really funny because he's a comedian. And so he's talking about Kamala Harris and how she says a whole lot without saying anything. And this is just like the perfect analogy for it. And I have to share it with you. So
where she is just, I mean, it is like, it's like having a conversation with your 5-year-old who's got like chocolate.
He's talking about like talking to Kamala Harris. So he's talking about talking to Kamala Harris, what that's like.
All over conversation with your 5-year-old who's got like chocolate all over their face about who ate all the cookies. And they just start like, they'll do this thing where they just start talking and they're just trying to get words out. And you know what I mean? This is like what I have a 5-year-old. I'm familiar with the tactics.
I do too. Maybe that's why this hit so hard. But if you've ever had a 5-year-old, they say so much stuff when they're in trouble and they don't know what to say, and they just start rambling.
Where it's like, you know, it's like, well, what happened was, well, yesterday, you remember yesterday when we came to, you know, it's just like, and it's like, you're just, but she's just trying to like filibuster. And like, she's like, I don't know, I got to get enough words together where by the end of those words, it feels like I answered this question. But she adds in all of these extra things that are unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like, or she'll be like, and you have to teach history and embrace history, and not just the history we like, but the history we don't like. And then we know where we're going, and we know where we want to go, and we know where we don't want to go. It's like, oh my God, why was it necessary to use all of these words to say that? It's funny because, you see this. I've seen this a lot. I know I've talked about this on the show before, but.
Okay, he starts going into other stuff, but that's like, if you've ever had a 5-year-old, that's exactly what it's like. It's so surprising. And what he was talking about was she was asked if Donald Trump gets in, it's something about like DEI and how like he might reverse that, like what would the effects be? And she's like, oh, well, she starts going on about like Martin Luther King and how it's like a holiday. And then she starts talking about like we have to know what our history. He's quoting her. He's like, we have to know where we've been in history so we can know where we're going and what we want to do and what we don't. And so this reporter asked her a question about DEI, and like the Biden administration and Kamala Harris has been the VP. This doesn't go to being like her but she was a DEI hire. Like she got hired as VP because she was a black woman because they wanted that vote. And she's asked a question about DEI and she has to somehow stutter about it. So his point is like, how do you not have 1 minute's worth of information to talk about a subject that is so important to you? It's like one of the topics for Kamala Harris, and she's asked a question about it and she's like, and then she's talking like you would to a 5-year-old who has chocolate on their face, and you're trying to figure out who stole the cookies. It's like she has to filibuster. It's like, this is your topic. If you can't talk about this, what can you talk about? It's insane. It's insane that our leaders are like literally this stupid. Look at my veins. Like, you're so dumb. Oh, this is crazy. All right, so let's see if I have any more notes on that one. All right, so no. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Okay, so moving on. Okay, here's one. Who's leading the country? Like, this is something obviously that everybody's asking now, but like, if you really stop and think about it, like World War III has trended like literally innumerable times since the year started, right? We're like in end of August now. I'm on Twitter all the time. World War III has trended so many times. Civil War has trended so many times. Israel, Hamas, Ukraine war, all this stuff is going on. People are talking about like the potential for a nuclear war, something in the Middle East pops off. We're like, Ukraine just went into Russia. They just like invaded Russia. So it's like, it seems like it's escalating even more. We thought like maybe it might have been dying down. Nope, apparently not. And this entire time, the U.S. elected somebody who we were told by the media, again, that he's totally good to go. He's super strong, really coherent, and totally with it, right? I don't need to bring up those videos because we were screamed at for 3.5 years and said that you're a conspiracy theorist if you think that he's addled and like got dementia. So with all of this stuff going on, it's now come to light that he's not able to run for president because he's an addled old man who has dementia, but he's still president, but he's literally doing nothing and nobody knows where he is. So who's making all the decisions? Like, seriously, what is going on? Like, it's almost comical because we're like, but it's not. We have no idea who, like, if somebody shot like nuclear weapons at us right now, and Joe Biden is supposed to be the person who makes that decision. He clearly cannot. So who's making that decision? We literally, as a country, we have no idea. And I just needed to remark on that because that's absolutely insane. Oh, and this is just quickly, what's Joe Biden doing? I won't do that. All right, I'll just say real quickly for anybody who watches the full video. This is his schedule, public schedule. It's like rollcall.com. I don't know. I just looked up the first thing. Closed press, Wednesday and Tuesday. Monday, out of town pool, call time. I don't even know what that means, but Friday, closed press. The weekend, nothing. So I assume he was just chilling on the beach or something. Like, he literally isn't doing anything. What? How is he not 25th Amendmented the F out of there? How is that not a thing? How do we have a president who literally can't talk, can't move around, and he's still the president? Good Lord. All right, so this is kind of a different attack, and this one's on Trump. And, like, here's the deal. So apparently, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are trying to figure out the rules that they want to adhere to, right, for the debate. And Donald Trump had already, agreed to terms with Joe Biden, but I guess Kamala Harris wants to have new rules, and Donald Trump's like, no, I already agreed to rules with Biden. You should adhere to those rules. Just because you're a new candidate doesn't mean that I have to change everything to go around you. To be honest, I think if it was reversed and something happened where, like, for whatever reason, the Republicans had a different person or something, and we're like, dude, it's a different person. You have to change the rules. Like, they want a different thing. It's a totally different person, right? I think both sides would argue their side if this argument was being made. I think, honestly, the crazy part is that everybody knows. So the rule that I'm talking about is the microphones were muted in the first debate, and they were going to be muted in the second debate. Like, if you're done talking, then your mic gets muted. So, like, even if you keep talking, nobody on the TV will be able to hear you. So it's pointless. And this really helped Donald Trump. But I guess the reason, and no one's come out and said this, but it totally makes sense. And nowadays you can't go with, like, what people say. It's so obvious now because, like, everything's so crazy that, like, this is why, like, it's kind of just all of these videos are kind of just common sense. It doesn't take, like, a genius to figure out these different things. And Kamala Harris wants the mics not to be muted because she wants to have this moment that I'm about to share with you.
You said the truth.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well,
I'm speaking.
be important if you said.
I'm speaking. I'm speaking. She wants to have that moment. She wants to put Donald Trump in his place, right? And is it a good political savvy move for her? Yeah, for sure, right? Like, if she's able to get that, that's why they want it. And that's why Donald Trump probably doesn't want it. The crazy part to me is that if everybody knows that this is what Kamala Harris wants, then Donald, why don't you just keep your mouth shut? Like, that is a big problem with Trump, the fact that he literally can't just keep his mouth shut, even when he knows the game, when he knows the strategy of the other person. Everybody on the right is like, we don't need to. It's like, dude, if she wants to change, if she wants unmuted mics, that's the way it's been forever. Who cares? The reason that they don't want it is because Donald Trump can't just shut up. And it's like, dude, like, I'm going to vote for him. I was talking to, like, my family members recently about this. Like, I hope he can get it done. But, like, if he's not able to get it done, I don't know if I'm ever going to vote Republican again. Like, I'm very much starting to lean very libertarian. And I'm, like, sick and tired of voting for the lesser evil. All the while, everything is just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And so there are my point is that there's definitely some downsides to Donald Trump, and his inability to just shut up when it's strategic to do so is maddening to his supporters. When, like, he knows the game plan going in. If he's not able, if she gets this moment, if he's like, fine, we'll have unmuted mics, and then he's doing this and he's interrupting her a bunch, and she's like, excuse me, I'm talking. I'm going to be like, dude, you walked right into that. Don't give her that. Come on. So I just think it's crazy that, like, he could literally just be like, fine, unmuted mics. It's been that way forever. Like, whatever. Who cares? But it's a big thing because Donald Trump just can't keep his mouth shut. So anyway, thought that was, is it as important as all the other things I'm talking about? No, but it does speak to the fact that Donald Trump really can't strategically, like, he just kind of blurts out anything that he thinks and doesn't really seem to have a lot of strategy to that. And there's definitely some upsides to that for sure, because you actually know what he's thinking rather than, like, I mean, I don't think Kamala Harris ever knows what she's saying either. Biden certainly doesn't know what he's saying. But when you're talking about, like, Hillary Clinton, Obama, Bush, Romney, McCain, like, everything was super scripted, and it's annoying. It's annoying that all we get are these scripted speeches and these tested taglines. You know what I mean? It's like they go into, like, these rooms and they test them on people, and then they use the ones that are good and they throw out the ones that are bad, and that's the things that the politicians say. It's nice that we don't get that with Donald Trump, but there's some major downsides to it, and this is one of them, in my opinion. So, this is another one as well, and maybe I should have brought up this video, but Trump said that when, you know what, actually, just give me 2 seconds, because I also just want to bring this up as well. Honestly, I'll just say this in the meantime. I was trying to look things up on Google or whatever, like Mark Zuckerberg letter to Congress. You can't find it on Google. I'm sure you can, but like it was just hard. And then I typed it into X in this little search bar right here in the top right hand corner, like search, like I can type stuff in there. I looked it up and it popped right up. Like, so when I'm going to look up, see, I can't multitask. This is a problem. RFK. So RFK Trump speech. Yeah. Oh man, I'm trying to find the. See, it's gonna take too long. Okay, but during this speech right here, during this speech.
So, Bobby, please say a few words. Thank you very much.
Before this happened, he was saying that he's going to allow Bobby Kennedy to head up an organization that, you know, he's just going to put together this group that's going to look into what's harming our kids and why we're being basically poisoned. And I just wanted to talk briefly about this because for the first time ever, this is starting to become a thing. And I just have a couple like quick notes on this, but there are trillions of dollars on the line when it comes to this issue. Big pharma and big agriculture, right? I mean, like our corn-fed cows, like we don't have grass-fed cows anymore. There's so much science that has proven that, and honestly, this is where like people are like, oh no, it's totally fine to eat all these like hormone imbalanced, like genetically altered foods. No, we're supposed to eat stuff that's grown in the ground, and then we pull it out of the ground and we eat it. That's what we've done forever. That's what animals still do. We're not supposed to eat all of these chemicals. Like, I don't care what science says. Like, eggs are good. Eggs are good, right? But good eggs are good. You know, I don't know if you've ever broken up an egg, but there's like eggs that have like a yellow yolk, not good. Eggs that have an orange yolk are good. And I'm not trying to like get into all this stuff, but my point is that there is a lot of money on the line. And if RFK, if this really starts to become like a big point of this campaign, I feel like you're going to start to see a lot of pushback. And I don't know, it's going to be like a battle that we haven't seen before, because I don't even know how they would like fight it, but some of the most powerful people in the world are in charge of huge food companies and then huge big pharma companies. And they put tons and tons of money into the pockets of politicians, and they will not let this slide without a massive fight. And, you know, just real quickly, like the seed oils that is in literally everything. I don't know if you've ever done this, but like go eat, and this is like a really easy way, I think, like your body will tell you what it likes and what it doesn't like. Go get like a big bag of Doritos. And I'm only saying this if like you're like if you're not on board with the whole like non-seed oil thing. Go get like a bag of Doritos, regular Doritos, and then just crush the whole thing. You will feel so lethargic and so like conked out. And then go get a bag of chips that's like avocado oil or has no seed oils in it, and then crush that entire bag, and you will feel not great because you still ate a whole bag of chips. I'm not endorsing eating whole bags of chips, but my point is you can eat a lot of the stuff that's not poison and still feel pretty good. The reason that everybody's so fat is because our food is garbage. And RFK has finally brought this to the forefront. It is so annoying. I go into Costco and stuff like that, and it's like, dude, all I'm trying to do is find some healthy food for my kids. And it's like seed oil, crap. And I was in Costco today, and I was walking down the aisle, and my son was like, that's crap. He was literally saying it out loud. He's like, that's crap. I was like, Don, you don't have to like say it so everybody hears. I was like, you're totally right. He's 7 years old. So he's like pushing the cart, literally pointing. He's like, that's crap. 7-year-olds. If you don't have kids, dude, I gotta do a video about that. If you don't have kids and you can have kids and you just decided not to, you're missing out. It is the most joyous thing ever. Stressful as hell, most joyous thing ever. And my last point on this is just how in the world, right? In this whole big pharma, food, all that stuff. How is it illegal for like a 16-year-old to like go to a restaurant and grab a glass of wine, and it's totally fine for them to walk into a 7-Eleven and buy 17 candy bars, 3 bags of chips, a garbage piece of pizza that has literally no nutritional value? And even more to the point, how is it not child abuse when you see parents who have children that are morbidly obese? And like, give me a break about this whole like, oh, they're poor. It's like, dude, I understand, but that's like talking about just fat people in general. It's like, I'm big bone. It's like, there are some people, and I actually know one in my life who like actually has an insulin issue, and this person's very big, but she actually has a problem that like causes her to not lose weight. There are people like that for sure. The vast majority of people, if you go, actually, this is kind of like a funny story. It's not very often that you sit at like the grocery line checkout and just sit there, right? Usually you're checking out and you leave the store. But one time, this was like 6-7 years ago, and I had to get formula, baby formula for my kid, which, by the way, don't buy it. It has freaking seed oils in it, which I didn't know at the time. And actually, I probably did, but I didn't realize how bad they were. So I fed my kid a bunch of seed oils when he was like 3 months old, which drives me mad. But anyway, don't get your baby formula. Make your own stuff at home or breastfeed, because it's like you're literally feeding your kid poison from the start. But I was sitting at this grocery line checkout, and for the first time in my life, the person, because they were out of formula, so the person had to go into the back, and I think I had to bring a tag to the front, and then they would go to the back and get the formula, and then they bring it out. Maybe they're having like theft issues or whatever. But I had to wait at the front while everybody was checking out, and they had to go in the back and go grab it, and it was going to take a couple minutes. So I had to sit there and watch everybody check out. And all of the fat people, guess what they bought? A bunch of junk food. And all of the fit people, guess what they bought? A bunch of healthy food. And it's like, so I'm like sick and tired of hearing this whole like, is it harder for some people than others? Yeah, for sure. That's life. Okay. But my point is, how is it not child abuse to feed your kids such crap food that they're morbidly obese by the time, and they're like diabetic by the time they're 12? It's insanity. And then they're like, I don't even know where I was going to go with that point, but like, oh, yeah, but you can't have like a glass of wine when you're 16. It's like, oh, okay, but I can feed my kid garbage food all the way up until 18, literally poison him, basically ruin their life, and you're not held like accountable. Like, I think that's child abuse. It is child abuse to poison your children and give them chronic health issues. And I don't know how you get around that. But all I'm saying is that it's insane that nobody's talking about this. And finally, RFK is bringing this to the forefront. And the thing that makes it, the thing that's insane is really, it's not even like, it is the parents' fault, but these big companies have made it so hard to eat healthy. It should be easy to eat healthy. It should be cheap to eat healthy. If the government's going to subsidize anything, it should be healthy food so we have a healthy population. But they do the exact opposite. They subsidize like corn and all this garbage. So anyway, all right. And this is like my stance on abortion, which this has become like a hot topic issue, whether it should be left up to the states or whatever. And I had a conversation with someone recently on Twitter, and they made a point, and long story short, they changed my mind, because I was saying, if it's not in the Constitution, right, when life begins is not in the Constitution. And because it's not in the Constitution, it has to be left to the states. You live by the Constitution, you die by the Constitution. Long story short, he made some good points, but the analogy it kind of put into my head that I kind of came up with on my own, and this is the point I'm trying to make, is if we found a two-celled organism, a two-celled human life organism, like human life, on Mars, what would we say? We would say we found what on Mars? Life. Because definitionally speaking, it's life. Like, that is life, right? And so, according to the 14th Amendment, The state cannot deprive you of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And you can argue that you have the right to, or you could argue that you want to, or you think it's the right thing to do. But I do not see how, as the Constitution is written, and this does help me in my beliefs. I'm very pro-life. And it's honestly, it does make it hard to say because I have a daughter, and if she was raped, I'd be like, damn. But I honestly do think the only, what should I say? Consistent, like anybody who's like, oh, I believe in abortion except for rape and incest. It's like, okay, so you do believe in killing babies when a woman gets raped. And they're like, they just have to rationalize it to themselves because it's so gross. It's so terrible. And, yeah, and I'm not okay with that. I'm just never okay with killing babies, you know? And like, people are like, oh my gosh, but they're raped. And it's like, I know, but you still can't kill babies. So anyway, I just want to be upfront about this because it's like, I don't know, like if you don't want to follow me because my view on abortion, then don't follow me about my view on abortion. But yeah, you can argue that you want to be able to do this, but I don't understand how, as the Constitution is written currently, it is currently legal. Because life, definitionally speaking, like that's my point, is if we found like a two-celled human organism, which is what you have in your tummy when you get pregnant, if you found that same two-celled organism on Mars, what would all the scientists on Earth say? We found life on Mars. It doesn't matter if it's really, 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 really small. And even if we found like bacteria on Mars, we'd probably be like, oh, we found life on Mars. But if you found a two-celled human organism, like egg, sperm, just combined, I think those are the two cells. I mean, I'm dumb. Like, I don't know anything about anatomy. I have 2 kids, but I didn't have to know anything about it. Just did the work. But if we found that on Mars, we'd be like, yeah, we found life. And if that is life, and the 14th Amendment says the state cannot deprive you of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, I don't understand how that life being inside another woman allows you to kill that life. I just don't understand, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you've gotten to this point, I just changed my mind about this being left up to the states the other day. I'm totally an open-minded person. I was like, leave it up to the states. I literally was arguing that day, and this person, because I did a post on X and got like a bunch of likes because I was like, leave it up to the states, and a bunch of people liked it. And then this person made some arguments, and I was like, on the post that I said, leave it up to the states, I changed my mind, and I was like, yeah, no, good point. So if you honestly, like, I hope you don't argue me out of it because it makes me feel good knowing. But I really am an open-minded person. And if you can argue out of that, but I really don't see how you can. Like, what is the logical argument that if it is a life, and the 14th Amendment says states cannot deprive you of life, liberty, or property, life, without due process of law, how do you get past that? So that sums it up. This was a very long first episode. But honestly, I think that this will be good for me because I feel a lot better now, to be honest. Venting. So until next time, stay safe, live free, and I'll see you soon. Bye.